I'm Jeremy, and this is All Things Outdoors. So I was just hanging out in the hammock and it started raining, so I put the tarp up. So basically I'm in Bumblebee here, have the tarp up, it's raining a little bit outside, probably a 50, 51 degrees or so. And I started thinking, I was like, I really wish in a lot of times like this where it's cooler, not even necessarily just because of the rain, I almost wish I had one of those tarps with doors. But I always played it back and forth. Is it really worth me, who does a lot of 3-season hiking, to invest in a tarp that I would probably only use 10% of the time? Well, I got to thinking about different types of solutions and trying to put some things together, and I came up with an idea. I just created it yesterday, so I have a first look for you at something I kind of came up with to help keep the weather out, the rain maybe a little bit, but also a nice wind block, and also that's removable for pretty much any tarp. So let's take a look at the wall. I put this together yesterday. I had some fabric left over from the underquilt build that I just uploaded on the channel here, and I was like, you know what if we could come up with a way to make a piece of fabric that would make a divide for maybe some of the weather that could blow in on you, but more or less just a little bit more of an enclosure that's not necessarily permanent. So what I ended up doing, I took 2 pieces of fabric and I cut them out 33 inches wide at the bottom and 40 inches tall, and then made a kind of a triangle piece, and then I stitched those together. Now one thing I did allow, and you can kind of see it here, I allow for an opening that allows the hammock suspension to go through, but it also, I made it wide enough to where you could actually, if you had to set this tarp up in the rain, you could fit your entire hammock undeployed through that hole. And then kind of get under the tarp there and string it along and hook it to the other side to kind of help you keep out of the weather. Without fiddling a bunch with trying to be in the rain and such. So what I did is I used a hook for the top and some shock cord for this top corner piece, and then if you come down here to the bottom, I actually put an extra tarp worm along the bottom, and then some zinget I attached to each corner. So, and the reason being, your pitch isn't always going to be the exact same. This kind of limits your pitch, but it does give you a little bit of adjustability to where if you needed to lower it, raise it, the shock cord's going to stretch and adjust with it at the top, probably an inch or two. But for the most part, you can use that to still keep a taut pitch on your tarp itself, and then maybe have a little bit of adjustability with the wall. Let's take a look inside the hammock. It does, like I said, give a good coverage to the outer wall. Now, is it going to be better than a tarp with doors? Absolutely not. There's not going to be any gaps that you can see with a tarp that does come with the doors. The only advantage that you would have with this is, 1, you don't have to buy another tarp, and 2, it's either something that you could add or take off as needed. And obviously it doesn't weigh much when you're talking about a couple pieces of 1.1 ripstop. So let me angle the camera up here, and you can kind of take a look at what it looks like from the inside. There we go. If you take a look up at where the suspension goes through, you can see there's not much of a hole there. I think that's going to be one of the advantages of keeping the wall tight to where it doesn't allow it to sag or kind of droop open per se. So other than that, I think it'll do a pretty good job of keeping me sheltered from the majority of the weather that's blowing in. Is it going to stop everything? No, but I do think it's going to help. So we'll put this thing to the test in the field, give it a couple of runs, and then we'll look to maybe do another review later. It never hurts to try to come up with new ideas that might come in handy. Worst case scenario, I got another ground cloth. All right, guys, I'll check you later.